Elon Musk released a few interesting messages about Ilhan Omar and some influential politicians explaining how they are damaging the US. He said they keep telling people how to live even when they don't understand the facts. He said those lectures are hurting the country because they divide people and make everyone angry. Musk also started a very strong push against some politicians and their plans. He said he will not allow bad ideas to control America. He said the country needs clear thinking, not noisy speeches. Now, some politicians, including Ilhan Omar, said that Elon has changed. They said that he does not care about climate change. They even called him a traitor. Elon said that is not true. He said behind the scenes, they are the ones who don't care about our future. He said their plans sound nice, but they do not help real people. Then Musk didn't hold back and completely destroyed Omar with simple arguments, revealing things that she is doing that no one knows about. Recently, Elon sent sharp messages to his followers on Twitter. As you know, Omar and Musk recently have been in an online war about what is going on in the US, how Americans are manipulated, and generally what fair and what is evil. The problem started when Trump announced the end of temporary protected status for Somali immigrants in Minnesota. Minnesota is home to the largest Somali population in the U.S. Many members of this community originally arrived after fleeing the prolonged civil conflict in Somalia, attracted in part by the state's supportive social services and refugee programs. That's why Ilhan Omar, who immigrated from Somalia, criticized Trump and called him a dictator and said how this decision against Somalians proves why Trump's new term is even worse than Trump's first presidency. She said during her recent speech, "Somali are not terrorizing this nation. We are helping it thrive. Somali have always seen as a fabric, have seen themselves as a fabric of this nation. So not only are we not going anywhere, we are not going to allow anybody to make us feel less Minnesotan or less American." And that's when, in response, Musk tweeted, "Ilhan Omar is a major grifter and she hates America." The problem is that according to Musk, Omar betrayed America as soon as she refused to state clearly her opinion about a recent scandal. When the federal government's emergency food aid system, created to keep children fed during COVID, became the entry point for what prosecutors now call the largest pandemic-era fraud ever uncovered in the U.S., that label didn't come from commentators or political opponents, it came straight from DOJ indictments, detailing how an estimated $240 to $250 million in child nutrition funds were quietly siphoned into private hands. The investigation later revealed that a nonprofit known as Feeding Our Future sat at the center of the scheme. Rather than verifying whether meals were actually being served, the group functioned, according to prosecutors, as the administrative umbrella through which the federal dollars flowed unchecked. Only after law enforcement traced the movement of those funds did another pattern emerge. Multiple entities involved in the operation were opened or managed by Somali or Somali American individuals, a detail that appeared repeatedly across the government's filings. The ethnic background wasn't the issue, the concentration of interconnected organizations was. By the time the arrests were announced, the numbers were staggering. More than 70 people were taken into custody, and the government accused them of using child feeding reimbursements to enrich themselves. Money that was meant for struggling families redirected into luxury purchases and personal accounts. Instead of providing meals, the $250 million that poured through the pandemic relief pipeline allegedly became one of the clearest examples of how an urgent crisis can overwhelm normal oversight. And according to Musk, if you don't criticize these processes clearly, you are betraying the US. Instead, as we mentioned already, Omar criticized Trump's decision to deport Somalian immigrants. By criticizing Trump, she risks undermining the sense of shared national loyalty expected from elected officials whose primary responsibility is to represent and advocate for the interests of the United States. And instead, it adopts this strange nationalist racial tribalism. And there have been many clashes. For example, in 2021 during the pandemic, Omar criticized Elon for saying "Free America Now." She wrote, "Billionaires want to continue profiting off your labor even if it means risking millions of lives. They call this freedom." Elon said people deserve their freedom back. He shared a Wall Street Journal op-ed that asked, "Do lockdown save many lives?" These were real public fights. Later, Elon even said that he regretted some harsh posts and other battles because they went too far. He said it directly on X in the early hours, which does show that he can admit when he gets too heated. As seen in Elon Musk said on X, he regrets some of the barbs as they went too far. Now, in 2022, after Elon bought Twitter, some politicians, including AOC and Omar, said that the platform was going in the wrong direction. AOC attacked the new verification plan. Many said that it could hurt trust online. Elon said that trust comes from transparency and equal rules, not old badges. More recently, Elon criticized a huge spending bill, calling it a disgusting abomination, and said that leaders were ignoring the debt problem. That made Trump say Elon was essentially becoming a train wreck and that he was disappointed. Elon pushed back anyway. He often pushes back when he thinks the numbers are wrong, according to Politico reporting that Trump called Musk essentially becoming a train wreck after Musk had blasted the big beautiful bill as a disgusting abomination. In the following years, Elon talked a lot about the woke mind virus. He said it is one of the biggest threats to society. He said it blocks comedy, crushes new ideas, and forces everyone to think the same. He said this mindset grows in big companies and media. He said that it creates fear and censorship. He called out progressive politicians like AOC and Omar, saying that their ideas spread this mindset. At the same time, when Trump said Elon's companies got subsidies, Elon said those subsidies simply do not exist. He corrects anyone, left or right, if he thinks they're twisting facts. As in, Elon Musk on Wednesday suggested that President Trump's criticism of subsidies was wrong. Then in 2024, Elon Musk sharply criticized Omar as part of a broader backlash that he directed at what he called woke ideology inside Democratic politics, accusing her and other progressive lawmakers of promoting policies that he sees as divisive, hyper-ideological, and damaging to the country. After Omar pushed back on Musk's immigration comments and framed his rhetoric as nativist, Musk's supporters escalated the confrontation by claiming that her worldview reflects hostility toward traditional American values, an accusation frequently used by conservative commentators who argue that her critiques of U.S. foreign policy and domestic institutions amount to a posture of resentment toward the country itself. And now, in 2025, Omar criticized President Donald Trump for moving to end TPS for Somalis. She said it is cruel, and she said the president is pushing the country toward something like a dictatorship. But many believe that Trump did it in response to COVID fraud scandal, as we mentioned already. Federal investigators didn't start with the nonprofit at all. They began with a simple mismatch: enormous meal claims paired with almost no legitimate food spending. That discrepancy led them back to a Minneapolis establishment known as Safari, a restaurant that, according to prosecutors, was not operating as a community feeding hub at all, but as a money laundering conduit. Only later did officials explain how Safari fit into the larger picture. The restaurant's paperwork alleged that 5,000 meals were being prepared and distributed every day, a volume that would have required industrial-scale operations. Yet when financial records were examined, the total amount spent on actual food hovered around $2,000, an impossible figure for the output that they reported. Tracing those implausible claims pushed investigators upstream to the administrative network that approved the reimbursements. That network was anchored by Feeding Our Future, which prosecutors now describe as the pathway through which the fraudulent claims flowed into federal child nutrition programs. By the time the scheme was fully mapped out, the scale stunned even career officials. More than $250 million, money that was intended to feed children during the pandemic, had been drained from government programs and redirected through what authorities now characterize as an enormous, coordinated operation. Omar linked this decision of Trump to other moves that she dislikes. Omar, along with other Democratic lawmakers, spoke in Washington and condemned Trump's approach to independent agencies and now to TPS. She said it was a sad day in America. She told a story about her childhood in a refugee camp and how aid programs helped her family. Elon answered by saying you cannot call every policy you dislike a crisis for democracy. He said lawmakers should write clear immigration laws, not leave emergency programs in place forever. According to a long-quoted rally clip, Musk sported an all-black Make America Great Again cap and said voter turnout for Trump this year was essential, or this will be the last election, which shows how strongly he now speaks about big national choices. Musk strongly criticized people that he sees as corrupt or out of touch. He wrote that some politicians benefit from the very systems they defend. He said this is why they fight so hard to keep them. He argued that when money and power are on the line, leaders use emotional language to stop hard questions. In one post, as a long summary noted, Musk called the administration's actions a cover-up, obviously, and claimed that so many powerful people want that list suppressed. That is how Elon sees the larger pattern: hide the ball, sell a speech, avoid the math.